Man, a lot of stuff happened in this comic. What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be breaking down some Easter eggs in Ultimate Invasion issue number 2. We're also going to be doing some theories, some speculation, and overall we're just going to have some fun. So keep this in mind, guys. I could be wrong on all of this. Some of this, I might be right. I don't know. I am just going to give my thoughts on what is going down, and please let me know what you guys think is going down in issue number 2. Let's start. The Maker Memory Log World Experiment for World 6160. This list basically explains where all the heroes of this Earth are and where their current status is, and we see that the Maker has taken something from all of them except Steve Rogers, who we're going to get to in a moment. First we have Jim Hammond, who was the original Human Torch in the main Marvel universe and was also an android. But here he is deceased on Earth 6160, and the artifact that the Maker has taken from him was his android brain. Next we see Steve Rogers, and we all know that he isn't here yet. He's coming probably down the line in the future, but as of right now, this Earth does not have a Steve Rogers. Next we see James Barnes, who I'm quite confused about. Why is he killed off? Like, if there's no Steve Rogers, right, and there's no super soldier serum, why did the Maker need to kill off James Barnes? I mean, he wasn't even a threat to him in his original Ultimate Universe. James Barnes was old, he was basically an old man, so he was a threat to no one. But knowing that he wasn't with Steve Rogers, there's no super soldier serum, but the Maker kills him off and takes a blood sample, really weird, but nonetheless, he dead. Next we have Robert Grayson, and he is Marvel Boy in the main Marvel universe, but in this one, in the new Ultimate Universe it seems, he is inactive and the Maker has his quantum bands. Then we have Jack Monroe, who is Nomad in the main Marvel universe, but in this one he is inactive and the Maker also has a blood sample. Little theory I have here is maybe he could have been like this universe's version of an early depiction of Captain America, because he is, I mean, Nomad in general, like the character is very connected to Captain America, because Captain America, I mean, Steve Rogers did take on the moniker of Nomad eventually in the comics, but I would see this possibly being like, this was like an early imitation and the Maker was like, nah, I gotta make sure this guy's off the playing field too. Next we have Thor Odinson, and I would say this one is very important and interesting. And it says he is captive. But when we look at the artifact, I would say this is probably going to pop up later in the issue, and it's going to be very important. The reason why I say that is because it's called the Destroyer Seed. And the closest thing that I can remember to the main Marvel universe having that is the Galactus Seed. And that basically was a seed that was used by Bor, the father of Odin, and he basically found it and used it to birth the main Marvel universe and placed it in the World Tree. But that got retconned by Jonathan Hickman, and basically it's used to birth a new type of cosmic being like Galactus into a new universe. So I'm theorizing here that the Destroyer Seed could potentially be either the birth of a new universe, so maybe Earth 6160 isn't going to be permanent after all, or it could be potentially teasing this universe's version of Galactus. Next we have Howard Stark, and he is controlled when it comes down to his business with Obadiah Stane. So we see Stane and Stark Industries basically is under the Maker's control, and we did get a little teaser in the beginning of the issue on how that Obadiah Stane has been working with the Maker. But I must say, when it comes down to the change for Iron Man in Ultimate Invasion, I think it was a pretty pointless change, because I'm going to show you later on in the video as well, that they basically just kept Iron Man the exact same, but they just changed Tony, or Antonio I should say, with Howard. And it's like, what was the point if you was just going to keep everything the same? But anyway. Next we have Reed Richards of Earth 6160. And in this it says he is controlled and the artifact is dedicated library. So, if we see here that when it comes down to Reed Richards, obviously he's the smartest being in his universe all the time, with very few exceptions. And I would say when it comes down to Reed of this Earth as well, the Maker would definitely want to use him, because he's using Howard Stark for grander designs, as we see in the issue of Ultimate Invasion 2. He would definitely want to do the same thing with Reed, even though that is a really, really big gamble, because that could go very wrong for the Maker. And I think it already has, but I will get to that later on in the video. Next, we have the rest of the members of the Fantastic Four, and that is Johnny Storm, Susan Storm, and Ben Grimm are deceased. So the Maker definitely did do the job. So he killed them off and took a blood sample from all of them. He didn't keep Sue alive, even though like the Maker is basically Reed from the Ultimate Universe. They definitely did go out in the past, but it didn't end well. I am really surprised he killed off Sue as well, but it seems like the Maker has taken a blood sample from all three of them and kept Reed Richards of this Earth alive. Henry Jonathan Pym, or Hank Pym. In this universe he is inactive and the Maker has a Pym generator from him. So the Maker basically has the Pym technology. Next we have Robert Bruce Banner. So in this universe he is under control now, so this is basically just 616 Hulk, who the Maker has made him turn into a monk, so now he's a lot more controllable, and he also has a blood sample from this Hulk. Like I said before, and I'm going to keep saying it again, I don't like this version of the Hulk whatsoever. Nothing. So, anyway, on to the next one. Next, we have Peter Benjamin Parker, the not-so-ultimate Spider-Man, and Brian Hitch / Jonathan Hickman self-insert, where he is inactive and the artifact is biological catalyst. So that would be the Spider. I'm going to be real, I do not like the new design for Peter Parker. I really hope this is not going to be the final one. I think Ultimate Peter Parker is probably my favorite design for Peter. Next to that would probably be the 90s animated show. Then we have Janet Van Dyne, who is also inactive, and the artifact is a Pym generator. So she also works on Pym technology as well, so even though this is a bit of a reach, if they're both working on Pym particles and stuff, I would still say they're together in this universe. They're just not heroes yet. But we definitely did see variants of them this issue, where they came out of the portal to try and attack the Maker. But then again, they got erased with the grandfather paradox. And then the last name, who I am really surprised we haven't seen this issue at all, and that is Stephen Vincent Strange, and he is captive and the Maker has his Eye of Agamotto. So I'm really surprised that he's even about and he didn't get a mention or get any like pop up in this issue, but him being taken off the board and being captive, I'm a bit surprised about that and why the Maker would keep him alive. Because I really do think Stephen Strange, or Doctor Strange I should say, would be a serious problem with the Maker. Let's be real. So him still being alive, that's mad. But one name that I'm really surprised we haven't seen on this list, or a couple of names I should say, and that is Doctor Doom, or Victor Von Doom, or Victor Van Dame. I wonder if they'll go back to that stupid change of a name. And then we also didn't see James Howlett, aka Ultimate Wolverine. So we haven't seen him yet, or them two yet, and I'm really hoping we do see them soon. The first Easter egg in Ultimate Invasion issue number 2 would be the first quarter of the story is pretty much directly a one-to-one of Ultimate issue number 2, Big, where we see the debut of Ultimate Iron Man back in the year 2002. There are some differences though. There is no Nick Fury, and his replacement for the panels would be the new Obadiah Stane and the young Tony Stark. The base of operations that Iron Man flies down in is slightly different, and also Jarvis is no longer a man but is now a black woman. The thing that I couldn't really stop noticing though is the quality of the artwork. Ultimate's artwork is still much better drawn, and this is supposed to be a direct remake of the original scene. The next Easter egg we have is one to Doctor Doom. As we see here, we are in Latveria, and we see that the Maker has parked his giant dome city in Latveria, but if we look at the castle right next to it, my theory is that this could be Victor Von Doom's castle. If we take a look back at the memory log, Victor Von Doom is not on the list, but he definitely is going to be popping up in some shape or form for the next issue and going to become the Anti-Maker. So could this be Doctor Doom's castle as a quick tease for this issue maybe? We're just going to have to wait and see till the next issue. Next we have the red carpet scene. And this is very reminiscent to Ultimate's issue number 3, 21st Century Boy, where we got introduced to the Ultimates while loads of people were taking pictures. But Hickman uses this scene to introduce us to beings with superpowers such as the Hulk and the Mutants. And my biggest concern of the entire comic, this new Hulk. I don't care what anyone says, I don't like this Hulk. In fact, this Hulk has made me just lose a lot of interest and excitement for the rest of the story, because this is 616 Hulk who became a monk. This is not Hulk from the Ultimate Universe. Ultimate Hulk is not gamma powered. Ultimate Hulk is not a calm and collected person. He's evil. He's animalistic. He's basically more closer to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde than the main Marvel Universe Hulk was, and he's based off Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So with this Hulk, it's basically he gets stronger the angrier he gets, but he's a monk, so he's always calm and collected, so he's naturally always going to be weaker. And it just loses all of the fun of being a Hulk. Like I said, this is not any, this whole story, we're halfway through, has nothing to actually do with the Ultimate Universe. Like, it's the Ultimate Universe in name only. Like, you've just completely ignored the original Earth that Donny Cates left us on with the Maker. You don't keep any of the continuity the same. You don't keep any of the characters' designs the same. Then why are you calling this the Ultimate Universe or Ultimate Invasion when it has very little to do with anyone or anything with the Ultimate Universe? Do you see where I'm coming from with this? Like, I am losing a lot of hype with this story, because what this really is Marvel wanted to start a new continuity. They knew it wouldn't sell, so they put on the name Ultimate, and they put clickbait covers of Ultimate Universe characters that are nothing like how they are in the actual book itself. And I'm not happy. Like, I have nothing here that I like. There's nothing here that I actually want from this Hulk or anything else. I don't see myself sticking around for too long after the story is finished. Next, we get introduced to some mutants of this Earth, and there are some drastic differences. Like, there is no X-Men in this universe, but mutants seem to be more stationed towards certain countries. Like, Japan here has Silver Samurai, Lady Viper, and Sunfire, who are members of the Harada Yoshida Alliance. Then we see another clan of mutants that are stationed in Russia, and this clan seems to be a bit more brutal compared to the Japanese mutants, and we see a new version of Omega Red, Ilyana Rasputin, and Colossus, who looks like he's been ripped out of a comic from the 616 X-Men. Then we see the Maker come out escorted by two guards. It seems here like the heroes that have been joined on the carpet are here to basically join the Maker's team, but no, the Maker brought them here so he could fight off the variants that are coming from the portal to kill him. Next, we see the heroes come out of the portal, and we see loads of versions of recognizable heroes that look similar but are also different. We see a different version of Thor looking quite similar to his Ultimate Universe suit, but obviously he's rocking a helmet, some shoulder pads, and rocking the regular Mjolnir. Then we see Captain America, who looks very reminiscent to his Ultimate suit, but with some slight upgrades, of course. And then we see Wasp rocking a black and yellow suit, which I actually do like this suit a little bit better than the original from the Ultimates. I think her suit was a bit boring, but I did like Ultimate Giant Man's suit. And as we see with him, he's rocking a blue and yellow suit this time round. I'll be honest with you, I think the brown suit was quite cool, but I think you could have changed the color of that. Like, you could have kept the suit the same, but just changed the color, because I think brown is a bit boring. But overall, I think the suit is okay, pretty much for all of them. But the most important, I would say, on this picture is the visions that we see here. If we take a look at Vision, he looks very similar but very different. But I've also mentioned in the past how he looks like he's been merged with the Sentinel called Nimrod. If we take a look at his face, how it's red, but the rest of his body is white. But that's not the only thing as well. Take a look at the diamond shape in his chest, and then take a look at this picture of Nimrod. So let me get this straight, right? So this is potentially a Vision / Nimrod Sentinel hybrid, with potentially the abilities of both, with a small army of them through that portal, plus Thors, plus Giant Men, plus Wasps, plus Captain Americas, and they still managed to get captured? So, am I the only one who's thinking about this? Because, like, this Vision alone, he seems broken. That is a broken. How did they manage to get captured? I really would like to see that, but no, they cut away. The heroes of this universe become aware of the variants coming through the portal, but they act quite differently to the situation at hand to their mainstream counterparts. Hulk isn't getting ready for battle like he typically would, but is taking more of a defensive stance, and we see other people in the background trying to protect one another. But we see Ilyana Rasputin pull out her sword and get ready for battle, as we see the tendrils of Omega Red as well, and the fist of Colossus. But another thing, the variants that come through the portal say, just the Maker and the acceptable targets no one else. So this is a targeted attack, but who ordered this attack though? My theory to this, the person who sent all of these variants, it's Kang, but he's made some sort of weird cloned version of the heroes so they don't get wiped away from existence potentially, and these do, but we just have to wait and see. But I have a very strong feeling Kang sent these heroes. The first attack has been striked and they go straight for the Maker. But his guards seem to put up these yellow force field shields that can deflect Thor's lightning blasts. This is something the Maker would obviously have. He's the smartest man in existence. He knew that these guys were going to come when they were going to come. Of course he would have this planned. But we also see how we see all of these Captain Americas and Thors, and we see the civilians running for their lives, but they're not going for any of them. And we do see a part of Giant Man's leg as well. Next, we see the heroes and the variants battling it out, and I have got to say, this is a very nice drawing, but I have a problem with it. Let's see if you guys can find it before I get to it. So first of all, we see Ultimate Ironmonger or Ultimate War Machine fighting off Thor and shooting up a version of Captain America, who we see on the bottom left. Then we see Illyana Rasputin or Magic, and then we see her chopping up a version of Captain America, and then we see a 616 version of Colossus. Just to let you know, that is 616 Colossus, that's not Ultimate Colossus in any way, shape, or form. That is 100% 616 Colossus. I don't know why. Like, Ultimate Colossus's suit looked way better than this one, but by miles. I don't know why Hickman wanted to bring this one into the Ultimate Universe for. Like, ugh. Anyway. We also see Omega Red doing his thing with his tendrils as well, but I've got to say I really do like his new suit, even though I don't think it was anything like his suit in the original Ultimate Universe, but this suit I really do like for him. Marvel Legends, by the way, start taking inspiration from this comic. There's some figures I do want here, I can't lie. Then we see the new Silver Samurai underneath Omega Red's armpit. We see him rocking his two katanas as well. I think that is a really nice design for him as well. Very sleek, very like Iron Man-y in a very way. Like, I get Iron Man vibes from it still. But I must say, he's got a very nice design there. But have you figured out the problem that I have with this picture? Oh yeah, you see it now, don't you? Ultimate Hulk would never do this anywhere in the Ultimate Universe except one, when he was protecting a bus full of school children. This isn't Ultimate Hulk. This is Ultimate Hulk. This is Ultimate Hulk. And this is supposed to be Ultimate Hulk of the new Ultimate Universe, right? So you're calling this Ultimate Invasion. There is no real invasion halfway through this story. It's supposed to be about the return of the Ultimate Universe. This isn't the return. This is a brand new universe that's got nothing to do with the Ultimate Universe. But this is Ultimate Hulk from Ultimate issue 13 from 2002, where he comes down and attacks a Captain America. But with his witty mind, he manipulates the Hulk into fighting Kirk Kleiser, thinking he was sleeping with Betty Ross. And when the Hulk heard this, he went apeshit. And when I mean he went apeshit, he got Kirk Kleiser and threw him around like a rag doll and beat him into a bloody pulp. And then ripped his head off afterwards and ate his remains. And then he doo-dooed out the remains as Bruce Banner. For some of you, that might sound way too graphic. That's what I liked about Ultimate Hulk, is he was literally a monster. Have you ever seen in the early days when Hulk was being promoted? Is he man? Is he a monster? Or is he both? In this universe, in the original Ultimate Universe, he was the monster. But no, now we get a sissy Hulk who likes to pray with monks and little boys. Next we see the variants on the attack on the Maker. We see a Thor, 2 Wasps, a Captain America, and we see a Nimrod Vision. But they all go on the attack and blast the Maker, but the Maker's guards put up these orange force field shields that seem to be able to absorb their attacks completely. But what's really odd about this scene is the Maker's not actually paying attention to any of those people that are attacking him. He's looking at Sunfire. And the reason why I find this is very interesting is because Sunfire is very much like the Human Torch, and much like the one that he killed of this universe, who is Jim Hammond. And even with Jim Hammond as Human Torch as well, both of these guys have the ability to control fire, and so did Johnny Storm of the original Ultimate Universe, of course being the Human Torch of the Ultimate Fantastic Four. This could be giving a moment of the Maker, or a moment where the Maker is off guard and is actually somewhat human here. But I could be absolutely wrong, but for him to be looking at Sunfire like that, it really reminds me of him thinking of Johnny Storm. But next, in the next panel we see actually is a couple of Nimrods take on Obadiah Stane in his Ironmonger / War Machine suit. One of the Nimrod Visions pushes his hand through Obadiah Stane's chest, and obviously I don't even know how he managed to survive that. So maybe like the phasing ability missed like the human side and just went normal again for the robotic side, but either way, that should have been an instant kill on Obadiah Stane there. But as we see here, he rams his hand through his chest, and this is where Obadiah's death starts to begin. So Obadiah Stane is definitely one of those acceptable targets, but yeah, his suit's going into overload here, while all of the Visions are surrounding him and getting ready to pulling him up for the attack by the Thors, and then his suit pretty much blows up. Another controversial moment of the entire book, I would say, and this is where we see a Thor and a Nimrod Vision attack the Hulk. But the Hulk here is still trying to protect the monks. But also notice how the dot on his head when he was introduced into this comic is no longer on his forehead. Could this be something that helps him manage his rage and control it? We don't know, but that could be a cool introduction of why he does the monk activities to maintain the rage, but that could also be a factor into it maybe. But what really pisses me off about this page here is when the Hulk is literally getting ready to start fighting back, and then the battle just completely cuts away into a jail cell with all of these clones all captured. And like Jonathan Hickman, Ultimate Hulk was literally the character I was the most excited to see, and when he's about to do what he's literally designed to do, he don't do it. Piss take. Absolute piss take here. In the next scene we see is with Howard Stark and the Maker in the jail cell with all of the variants that have been captured. Basically here, right, the Maker is explaining to Howard that they're here to erase him from existence, and Howard's basically catching on. But I think the person who, as I said before, who's sending these clones and variants is Kang, and he is the only person that I know who controls time. And with the Maker altering it to his own needs, I could see why that would be a problem. And then we see the Maker bringing these random civilians in with soldiers, and then he does the grandfather paradox. He finds the genetic codes of all of those variants who came through the portal and finds their ancestors and kills them off, erasing all of these heroes that attack today from existence. And then, something that's very important here that I think we all need to pay attention to. So Howard sees what just happened and says they're basically going to do the same thing to you by erasing you from the timeline. But the Maker says something very important here, and it says like, well, I'm not from here. I'm not from this world, nor am I from this universe. And if they plan on erasing me, then they're going to have to do it at the height of my powers. So, if they actually plan on erasing the Maker fully, the only way you can actually do that is by bringing back the original Ultimate Universe, go into that timeline, and then erase him from it. That's the only way you could truly be able to erase the Maker from history, and not to mention his bodies that he has in multiple universes that Hickman just seems to have completely forgotten about. And another thing, this actually breaks the timeline rules in Marvel history. So if you was to kill somebody, if you was to go back in time and kill someone, you would make a branching timeline. But it seems here like the grandfather paradoxes don't branch timelines on this Earth. So did Hickman break the rules here? Because if that's the case, if you could just go back and find the ancestor and wipe them from history without making a new timeline, then why hasn't Kang the Conqueror ever done that to like any other like Avengers team that wasn't a part of his timeline? Like he could have easily just like pruned any of the Avengers, right, without fucking up anything. But then again, Kang's history is very complicated, so we'll have to figure that out at a later time. In the last few scenes of the comic, right, so the Maker shows Howard Stark this time machine, and Howard basically tells him you should destroy it, but the Maker has too many plans to do so, because he could bend people's wills to his design with this machine, but it's badly damaged from his first encounter with the variants. But this is what I find very important, and everybody needs to pay attention to this. When the Maker takes off his helmet, we see some drastic differences to his design, and I have some theories to this. I don't actually think this is the Maker. I think this could possibly be Earth 6160 Reed or main Marvel Universe Reed. The reason why I say that is because the Maker cannot age. He just doesn't have that cellular body or cells that age. He's like rubber, basically. So the drastic differences here, as you could see, is one, his hairstyle is very different from the last page of the first issue of Ultimate Invasion. His hair seems to be a lot more like down now, like it seems to be a lot more heavier than it normally was in the last issue, and he's also rocking the traditional 616 Reed white sideburns. I'm going to give you my theory on why this could potentially be Earth 6160 Reed. First of all, Earth 6160 Reed is still alive. He is being controlled by the Maker and being used as a dedicated library. 2. This Earth's Reed Richards looks more like the traditional Reed from the main Marvel Universe than the Maker from the Ultimate Universe. Another thing as well, their hair texture is quite different when we see them from Ultimate Invasion issue number 1. The Maker's hair seems to be a bit more spikier, while main Marvel Universe's Reed seems to be a bit more laid down, a bit more heavier. And we also see that this Reed Richards has the traditional white sideburns. The Maker can't get those sideburns, people, if you know about the Maker's abilities. He's pretty much the same as main Marvel Universe Reed, but his cells and his whole body is not traditional. He doesn't have organs. He has like a vascular system, like to put your like the air down the throat, down to the belly, and he has a brain and no other intestines. Another important fact about the Maker is he is immortal. He will never be able to truly age again because of his abilities from the negative zone. For example, he's lived in his City of Tomorrow dome for 1,000 years in Jonathan Hickman's run on the Ultimates, where he built the City of Tomorrow, and he looked literally the exact same. He will never be able to age out of his early 20s, but if we look at this Reed Richards here, he looks like a fully grown man, somewhere in his 30s to 40s. But the most important part of this of this image is that half of this man's head is gone. He claims that his first encounter with the variants caused this, but at the same time I'm thinking this can't be Reed. Does his healing factor make his body age? If that's the case, it's never been written anywhere in previous history. So I reckon the maker's probably taken half of this Reed Richards brain and used it for that dedicated library. But you might wonder, then how the hell is he here? Well, the maker has access to a time machine and knows how to build one, and I would say this Reed Richards, if his intelligence isn't any different compared to how it was before he lost his brain, this Reed Richards is also a very smart individual and would probably rival the maker's intelligence as well. I think he would be able to build a machine. But this Reed could possibly be here to stop the maker's plans and is going to Howard Stark to actually build the machine, but not actually telling him here. Or potentially, this Reed Richards might not even know the full plans of this machine to do what he needs to do due to his head being gone. But then again, this could just be the maker, and for some reason Hickman's decided to break the maker's history and lore about him not being able to age. But I've also got another theory. My second theory is this could be main Marvel Universe Reed that's managed to make his way to Earth 6160. Because let's be real, if you're going to make another Earth, it would just make another timeline, and you could easily travel to it whenever you want to, like any other Earth. But potentially this could be Reed Richards after fighting the maker at one point, and his head got half of his head got taken off in that battle, and he had to escape, but with the machine during his escape got damaged, leaving him where he is today. The reason why I say this is main Marvel Universe Reed is because, look at his face, fam. Just look at him. It's main Marvel Universe Reed, but his eyes are blue. Or his eye is blue, but that's probably because the lighting in the room is blue. So we don't actually know if this truly is a different version of Reed, because due to the eye color. Both versions of Reed, like the maker and main Marvel Universe Reed, have brown eyes, with obviously the maker having the one white eye. But what I'm thinking here, it's either one of those two. I really don't think this is the maker, and even if it is, then Jonathan Hickman, you're breaking a lot of rules for this story, and I'm not too sure how the community is going to react to this. Or what's most likely the case is this is the maker, except Brian Hitch decided to make him look like regular Reed Richards for some reason, when like the maker and Reed Richards are decades apart. The maker, Ultimate Reed Richards, is in his early 20s. Main Marvel Universe Reed is nearly 50 years old, so that their age is drastically different. So here, this looks like main Marvel Universe Reed, but if it is the maker, then Jonathan Hickman, you better make this a good explanation, because this has never been the case with the maker, ever. But next, we have the final page, and this is what the cliffhanger leaves us on. And the last page is where the maker believes that Howard Stark built the Immortus Engine time machine. How do I feel about that? Well, I don't actually think that is the case. How on earth would he be able to build a time machine? I think it's quite obvious with the name Immortus. I reckon the maker's probably done a couple of, gotten himself into a situation with Kang and taken some of his technology, because the guy's a time traveler. Why wouldn't you want to steal his technology? So saying that Howard Stark built this machine, that's a bold move. That is a bold move to take, but I reckon Kang is probably going to explain that in the next issue on August 30th this month. So I've given all of my theories on what was going down on this comic of Ultimate Invasion issue number 2. My apologies that I have been so late on. I literally haven't uploaded in a couple of weeks. Like, I've been doing this. I've been actually doing some of my music as well. Been helping some people out with that. Also been enjoying my new action figures as of late. I got myself the Grey Hulk 2-pack with Bruce and Grey Hulk. I'm absolutely loving that. But also I got myself a custom Maker figure. Yes, people, I've got a custom Maker figure on my shelf. 1,000 subscribers and I will review that action figure gladly. But thank you very much for watching. If you guys are fans of the Ultimate Universe, this is the channel you want to be on. I upload content surrounding the Ultimate Marvel or Marvel Universe and Ultimate Invasion, Marvel comics in general, all comics in general, movies, sometimes some video games as well, which I also do need to put some content about. But thank you very much for watching. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.